We're cruising with renewable fuels here on the Rural Radio Network. I'm Alex Makovica. May is Renewable Fuels Month, and today we're learning about a new study that shows the clean fuels industry contributes over $42 billion to the U.S. economy. Joining us to break down this information is Kate Shank. She serves as Director of Regulatory Affairs with Clean Fuels Alliance America. Kate, we'll dive more into the study here in just a couple of minutes, but first, just get our listeners familiar with the work you all do at Clean Fuels Alliance America.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. So Clean Fuels is a trade association representing the entire biodiesel supply chain, from our farmers, processors, producers, all the way through. So really touching all aspects of the clean fuel supply chain, biodiesel, renewable diesel, and sustainable aviation fuel, and using all of our feedstocks, including soy, canola, and our waste oils, such as used cooking oil and rendering.
Okay, so covering a range of oils, as you have mentioned. Let's dive into this study. The study as a whole shows that the fuels industry contributes $42.5 billion almost to the U.S. economy. Tell us more about this study and some of the key findings from it.
Yeah, of course. So this was based on 2024 actual industry conditions. So we're looking at 5 billion gallons of U.S. production. And so that, when we are looking at the study that evaluates the direct, indirect, and induced economic impacts throughout the entire value chain. So our raw material production, processing, fuel production, and distribution.
All right. So you were looking at a number of different things in this study, as we had mentioned. And what I understand is you have compiled some Nebraska-specific numbers. What do those look like?
Yeah, of course. So when we look at total economic impact, as you said, for the U.S., it was $42.4 billion. But for Nebraska, it was just about $1.3 billion. So huge economic revenue there, over 4,600 jobs, and over $204 million in total wages. So really, really great news for Nebraska there.
When you look at this study as a whole, what picture is it painting for the clean fuels industry here in the country?
Yeah, I think it really shows that, the industry, the biomass-based diesel industry will really bring economic value to our farmers, our feedstock producers, and our fuel producers. So really, across the supply chain, great impact to support continued growth and really maximize these benefits.
Kate, can you expand more on the supply chain? Like, what all is included in this economic impact?
Yeah, so we looked at fuel production, we looked at our soybean growers, oilseed production, processing, rendering, so throughout that whole supply chain. So if you look at our soybean growers, that's 30,600 jobs, over $1.5 billion in wages, and $15.2 billion in economic value benefiting our soybean growing states.
Mm-hmm. So now that you guys have compiled this study, what are the next steps? What do you do with this information? What do you do in the future?
Yeah, just really able to show the growth of the industry. And, when we have ongoing policy support and market certainty, this study really shows that biodiesel will really, drive job creation, energy security, and our decarbonization. So it's a great story for investments here in the U.S. and really, provide continued support to grow the industry.
All right. If you're just joining us, Kate Shank is on the line with us today. She serves as the Director of Regulatory Affairs with Clean Fuels Alliance America. Again, touching on a study that was just released showing the contributions to the U.S. economy from the clean fuels industry. You had mentioned a couple of minutes ago, you guys also do a lot of policy work. What are some issues top of mind right now, Kate?
Yeah, so right now we're currently waiting for the proposal for the Renewable Fuels Standard, which sets the volumes that need to be blended into the U.S. fuel supply. And, having this strong economic impact of biodiesel on the U.S. economy will hopefully share that story of how we can bring those jobs and economic impacts back home to grow the industry here and diversify the fuel supply and provide clean fuels throughout the United States.
Mm-hmm. The 45Z tax credit, of course, has been in the news a lot lately. What are the developments on that front?
it's changing daily as Congress works through that. But we're hopeful that we'll be able to, again, continue production here in the U.S. And bring it back to, the U.S. Clean fuels producers here so they can continue to grow the industry and continue to use the investments that have been made and continue to be made.
Excellent. Kate, you are a wealth of information. What is the best way to stay up to date on all things happening with clean fuels?
Yeah, of course. You can find us on our website at cleanfuels.org.
Kate Shank serves as the Director of Regulatory Affairs with Clean Fuels Alliance America, joins us for this week's Cruise In with Renewable Fuels episode here on the Rural Radio Network as the state of Nebraska celebrates May as Renewable Fuels Month. From the Nebraska Soybean Board Studios, brought to you by Nebraska soybean farmers and their checkoff, this is the Rural Radio Network.